Welcome to the Insomnia Project. Lay back, sit back, stand up, just relax and listen, because we're going to have a conversation about the mundane. And one thing that we try to promise is that our conversation will be less than fascinating, so that you can feel free to drift off. And if you aren't able to drift off and you're just able to sort of listen to us ramble on, then we hope you just relax and get in a state of chillness, is how I would describe it. Just a state of non-worrying. Thank you for listening, and thank you for joining us. We hope that you will end up listening and falling asleep. I'm your host, Marco Timpano.
And I'm your co-host, Nidhi Khanna.
Nidhi,
Marco.
What do you have at your desk? Whether it be at work or at home, do you have certain things that you need at your desk? And is there a difference between your desk at work and your desk at home?
Oh, good question.
It's this little series of questions.
Yeah, there's a few
desk
in
questions.
there. Desk questions.
Probing desk questions.
You know, and they say, like, you can tell a lot about someone's personality by what they have on their desk.
Oh,
I don't know if that's true.
sure.
I may have also just made that up.
Hey, listen.
But it sounds like something someone would say.
I was buying into it for sure.
Well, it might be true. But
I just want to let everybody know that Nidhi spilt my water all over the area that I'm currently working in.
So that's why I don't keep water in glasses at my desk.
Oh, what do you keep them in?
I keep it in like a bottle.
Like a
Glass bottle.
a Perrier bottle, or do you have a special?
Like I have one of those Voss bottles or something like that I put it in, because then it also helps me make sure that I'm still hydrated when I'm at work.
Okay.
So I always have some water.
Sure.
I also have a series of a series of desks. I have one desk.
My goodness.
One desk. No, a series of I don't know how to describe it, folders or folder organizers.
Okay.
So that there's usually three layers, and things that are meant to be for signature or
Okay.
one.
You're a filer, so you've got
I'm a filer.
Okay.
But then I also so here's the interesting thing, Marco. I would like to think that I'm very organized and neat.
Okay.
And then I'll go and it'll get messy, because it's like, okay, I had 5 meetings in a row, and I'll just dump a file somewhere.
It's sort of the nature of the work. It piles on, throughout the day, things land on your desk.
And I'll be okay for a little while
Sure.
with it like that. And then I'll have these moments of just where, I don't know what it is. It's like all I need to do is rip up paper, declutter.
Okay.
I get rid of everything, which is fine when you're at home.
Sure.
But when you're at work and you start ripping up files and saying, I don't need this anymore. Get
Right.
off my desk. It's not a good situation.
I see.
It can lead to a very problematic situation.
Sure. But if you're a filer, I imagine you have copies of those things.
Usually I have a digital copy or
But
something.
do you have any, do you have a stapler on your, do you always
I have a stapler. I have a series of pens and pencils.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really my desk that has any sort of personalization. It's actually more of my cork board next to my desk.
Okay.
That's kind of there's always got to be color. There's posters, there's sayings,
Sure.
there's communication things.
Is there a cat on a wire that says hang in there?
No, not at this job, at least.
It's interesting, Nidhi. So for me, I love having a good stapler. Now, I've got...
What does that mean?
That's a great question. So, I need a stapler that can go through many pages. I need a stapler that doesn't jam. I need a stapler that really can just staple what I need stapled.
How many papers do you try and staple at once?
That's a really good question. So, let me backtrack here and I got one of these environmental stapleless staples.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, and so it's this little plastic doohickey that you kind of put the paper in, and you can put many papers, and what it'll do is it'll cut the paper and sort of thread it through. It'll make a little notch into your paper. And then that little notch that it makes, so like a little tiny thin tab, will get threaded through a little loop that it's made.
Mm-hmm.
I'm certainly not describing it right. But I tried it, and I hate it.
So it sounds from your description, it sounds like something that is just never going to work for whatever reason.
It can staple 2 to 3 pages, maybe 4 max, and then see you later. I need something that can go through 25 pages.
Is there even such a stapler?
Because sometimes
it's like you need a heavy duty one.
I need a good stapler. I need something that will really staple, because oftentimes I'm printing out reports, and I like to have, I know it's not environmental, but I do like to have hard copies of what I'm working on. Scripts oftentimes are many pages, so if I can staple like a good 25 pages of it, then that's a good chunk of script that I'm going through.
So I have a question.
But I don't have a good stapler.
Well, no stapler is going to staple what you. That's a lot of paper to staple through.
Even give me 15. Give me a stapler that will give me a good staple that will go through 15. Right now, I have something that looks like half the size of a proper stapler that's yellow, that jams all the time.
I think it's a child stapler. You have a child stapler.
No, it's not. It's a dollar store stapler. I need a good, well-made, made in America metal stapler.
Staplers.
Like, I just need something that will it will give a nice big thunk when I make the staple. I don't care if it costs $50, but I want a good stapler. So if you know the make of a really good stapler, or you happen to find a really good stapler, it would make my life so great. And I don't know why I haven't gone out to buy a stapler, because it's not that hard of a thing.
So to our listeners, clearly Marco is very, very passionate about the staple situation that he has. So
because then you get a stapler that jams, and that is as infuriating, because Nidhi, for me to unjam my stapler, I have to then take the stapler remover, you know, the thing that kind of looks like a...
Oh, yeah. I think
pincers,
the staplers, the people who make the staplers and the stapler removers are obviously in cahoots with one another.
Sure.
But all this to say, because you are so passionate about it, I encourage our listeners to tweet us at Listen and Sleep with their staplers of choice for Marco, so that he can go and find the stapler of his dreams. But here's a question, Marco. When you have that many sheets of paper that need to be bound together, why a staple and not a clip?
Oh, I have a lot of clips. I do use clips. I do use a lot of bull clips and a lot of clips. I have tons of them. Sometimes you need a stapler. That's all I can say. You need to commit and just staple. Now, here's something interesting. So my family often says I'm very difficult to buy presents for. So,
but yet you're a really good gift giver.
Yeah. And so all I want is a stapler. I'm not asking for the world. I just want a stapler. Now, I just printed. I had a audition. I had actually 2 acting gigs today. One was an audition, so it wasn't really a gig, and one was an acting gig. And so, Nidhi, I don't know if you do this, but I like to print on the back side of
The sides?
like, you know, when you're done with paper, you print on the opposite side so as not to waste the paper. So you kind of like, am I making myself clear? Do you know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean, and I know where this is probably going. I usually, when I'm doing that, what I'll do is on the side that is used, I'll put an X on it.
Okay.
So that when it goes through the printer again, I know which side is the correct side, just in case.
Right, fair. So I printed my sides on our, we call scripts sides and whatnot. I printed my script on yellow paper.
Okay.
For our listeners who don't know this, when you get a script, the first copy will be white, and then if they make revisions to the script, you'll get different colors, so you know that you're not on the same script.
Version.
Like the versions change, and they change in color. So we had a yellow script that was no longer needed because we had taped or that script had been filmed and no longer needed. So I was printing on the back side of this yellow paper. And I really enjoyed reading my scripts off yellow paper. There was something about it. As I was learning my lines, I found the lines really stuck in my head really quickly.
Oh, so you're like, there's something therapeutic or calming or something that aligns with your brain waves that allows you, when you see it on yellow paper, to learn it better or memorize it better somehow.
I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds like, a little woo-woo, but it just did.
But that makes sense. You know how they say you should paint the room colors, like, of different rooms, like yellow, or like different like particular colors have like a calming effect versus like a not so calming impact,
an invigorating effect.
Exactly.
Or whatever,
So I think that would make sense in a weird way.
So I went and I bought a ream of yellow paper that I can just use for when I have to print out scripts that I have to memorize. I'll see how it works.
So with this script that you had where they changed the version onto the yellow script, you hadn't yet gone through
No,
this. This was the reason why you... Gotcha.
What happened was I printed on all those pages, so I had no more yellow paper, and I happened to be buying a paper, one of these, office supply stores. I won't mention the name, but I'd probably get a good stapler there. Hint, hint. But so I picked up a ream of yellow paper, and now I'm very happy.
Well, good. Congratulations on your newfound method.
I also like to have a lot of highlighters near me.
You love highlighters. It's really, oddly enough, you love highlighters, but I don't see you using highlighters all the time. Like, with the amount of highlighters you have, you would think that you're highlighting every single line or every single thing. I guess you do do a lot of different colored pens.
Yes.
You like the different colors and things like that.
I feel like it helps me organize the content that I'm working on.
Like your thoughts.
My thoughts, and just like it separates it in such a bold way, a visual way.
Right.
And I guess because I'm a visual learner, or whatever, it really helps me. And people tend to use black, blue, or red in their daily lives. I don't like using black ink pens. I like blue ink pens.
Right.
And then what happens is I end up with a house full of black ink pens because I don't use them, and so I throw them in drawers, and then all of a sudden my drawers are full of
black ink
pens.
Wow.
I should give them to you because you like black ink.
Yeah,
right?
love black ink.
And I like blue ink. And then I lost a pen today. I had this beautiful blue ink pen that I took with me. I lost it. And then I went to Starbucks and I asked the woman, "Do you have a pen I could borrow? I'll bring it right back." Of course, it's a black ink pen. And of course, I don't bring it right back. But I happened to do this gig, and I was handing out all these blue pens because people had to write. And so I grabbed a couple. And then I went back to the Starbucks, and I gave the black pen, and I gave them an extra blue pen because I said, "Thank you for letting me use it for the whole day."
Well, aren't you nice?
But the person who I borrowed it from was no longer there. Her shift was done. So
right,
she
still thinks you're kind of a jerk.
Well,
whatever.
I guess I was, actually. But yeah, I'm always fascinated by how people like to organize. Are there any photos on your desks at work?
So it's not specifically on my desk.
Okay.
It's on in my office there's a desk, and then there's like a cabinet right across from it, and on the cabinet it's that's where I keep my photos and stuff. And so it's a photo of my grandparents, actually, a vintage photo of my mom's parents. Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
It is. I like it. So
Taste the Mediterranean at Whole Foods Market with a vibrant selection that captures the flavors of the region. Shop coastal favorites like responsibly farmed whole bronzini and jumbo white shrimp, and pair them with specialty pastas, robust olive oils, and aromatic sauces directly sourced from the Mediterranean. Want a fast and easy dinner? Grab refreshing Greek salads and tortellini from the prepared foods department. Taste the Mediterranean now at Whole Foods Market.
We live in a culture obsessed with dieting, weight loss, and exercise. And that can make eating disorder behaviors easy to miss. But the reality is, eating disorders are serious mental illnesses that take a major toll on your health and your life. But recovery is possible. Eating disorders are more common than you might think. Chances are you know someone who is struggling with one. Or maybe you're struggling yourself. If you're concerned about an eating disorder in yourself or a loved one, I want to introduce you to Equip. Equip is a fully virtual, evidence-based eating disorder treatment program that helps patients achieve lasting recovery at home. Every Equip patient is matched with a multidisciplinary care team that includes a therapist, dietitian, medical provider, and mentors. And you get a personalized treatment plan that's tailored to your unique goals and challenges. Equip treats patients of all ages and all eating disorder diagnoses. It's covered by insurance, and there's no wait list. If you think that you or a loved one could be struggling with an eating disorder, don't wait to get help. Visit equip.health to learn more. That's equip.health.
When it comes to managing money, forget the hype and look at the results. Bill has $1 trillion of secure payments powering our bill pay tools. Instead of just moving money, Bill is powering the financial operations of nearly 500,000 customers. So stop the guesswork and start scaling with the proven choice. Ready to talk with an expert? Visit Bill.com/proven to get started. And grab a $250 gift card as a thank you. Terms and conditions apply. See offer page for details.
Marco, I've been watching a lot of historical dramas lately.
Oh.
And I really enjoy that because I'm a history buff, I guess. And I know that you enjoy history as well. And it made me think, like, is there a particular moment in time or era or historical figure that if you can go back in time or like have the time machine, like where would you go?
Ooh. Great question. I mean, immediately I want to go to the Renaissance, but
really,
I don't think I would enjoy being there.
No. Why the Renaissance?
So much was going on, and it was so there's something cool about it.
I would be worried about getting sick.
That's just it. It's like, that's why I don't think I would enjoy it. And people back then were getting killed for no reason. Like, it wasn't as pleasant as it is today.
Right.
I'd like to go back to the 80s.
Oh, the 80s?
Yeah.
Well, you were there before.
I was, but I was young, right? And I would like to go back now so I could really enjoy what the 80s were. Like,
you would want to be like a coked up stockbroker, or?
That's not the first thing I think of, but
that's what I think about professionals in the 80s.
Having lived through the 80s, I don't remember too many of those, running into too many of those people. I just think it was an interesting time for music and
I love listening to 80s music.
And just, it could also be just a nostalgic thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
right.
And nobody really got killed for no reason.
Really?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. Unlike the Renaissance or Roman times where people were,
okay.
No, that was me moving the chair, was, thrown to the lions and things like that. That wasn't happening.
You're right.
So, how about yourself?
It's funny because I think it's an interesting question for women.
Oh.
Because there's not many eras in like modern history, or what we know of modern history, that you can kind of go back to where women were necessarily treated well,
right?
Or at least that's what the records show. I would two places. Okay. So one, I'd love to go to ancient Egypt, like the time of Cleopatra, and kind of see what that was all about, because as a society, they seemed to have some not so progressive views, but the way their society kind of revered women and things like that, and women's place in society seemed really interesting. And there's a mysticism about that time that I find very interesting as well. Like, what do the pyramids mean? Why did this happen? So I think it would just be cool to kind of go back there and see what it was really all about, and to see like the Library of Alexandria and see what kind of knowledge has been kept there, because apparently we are closer in time, or from a generational perspective, we're closer in time to Cleopatra than Cleopatra was to the first Egyptians.
Oh, okay. That's
Crazy, right?
That's a neat thing. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's interesting. It would be an interesting society.
What's interesting is I don't think Cleopatra was Egyptian.
Oh, was she not?
Yeah, I think
Like Nubian? No.
Macedonian, I think she was.
No.
Yeah, keep talking. I'll look it up.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I only say that because my friend portrayed Cleopatra in a film, and
Found out that about her?
and she
Interesting.
happens to be Greek, so she was saying that. Yeah, I'll look it up. But
Okay.
you were saying.
And then the second place I would love to go back to is kind of like the whole, I think, the Bible times. Like, I'd like to see the whole Jesus Christ thing.
No, I have no interest.
Really?
Not really. Cleopatra was a member of the Ptolemaic dynasty, a family of Macedonian Greek origin that ruled Egypt after Alexander the Great. So there you go.
So I think her origins may have been Greek,
Maybe.
but I think she was
Egyptian. Wow.
I don't know.
Look what kind of historical scholars we are. Eh?
I know.
Maybe we open this can of worms.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sure people
We're like,
are
Wikipedia will tell us. But so the time of Jesus Christ, that's what I was thinking. Which is funny because I'm not Christian, but
Right.
I just find it fascinating. I find it fascinating.
Too many crucifixions, too many things, too many things
people,
happening there.
I would just like to see like what the real account is. Like, for
Sure.
me, it's like I just want to know Mary Magdalene.
Right.
What was her thing?
What was her story? Sure.
What was her story?
See, the danger in sort of these what ifs, or like going back in time, is it's all fine and dandy to say I want to go back to sort of Christian times, but what if you end up going back as a slave, right? Like you'd want to pick what you can be, or be a fly on the wall type scenario. Because
I agree.
yeah.
I'm assuming in the time machine that I'm always kind of the equivalent of a rich white man. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like I'm whatever
That's your
that
standard.
is.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
whatever that is in the time that I'm going back to. I'm
Right.
just assuming that's what I
Fair.
would be. So life wouldn't be necessarily difficult.
You know what's interesting? That they say that, and when I say they, I can't pinpoint who they are, but a lot of let's say New Age thinkers, for lack of a better term, but people who sort of look into this or really gravitate to this sort of thought that time doesn't end, and so that it's continuous. So meaning that while we're having this conversation here in this time period, whatever happened in Christian times is continuing to happen. Whatever happened in the Renaissance is continuing to happen.
Oh, interesting.
What happened to us when we were 5 years old continues to happen. So that there's a continuous sort of, and I know I'm saying this incorrectly, once
This is
again.
very Stephen Hawking of you.
We are full of non-facts here on the Insomnia Project.
Please do not quote us on anything.
We just refer to what we remember having read or someone has told us. It's oftentimes
Mostly someone has told us.
Oftentimes, Nidhi will be like, Marco, I think you told me this. And I'm like, no, I didn't, but
But it sounds like
sounds
something.
reasonable to me. I tell a lot of people a lot of things, I guess, but supposedly, like, time doesn't stop and it just continues. And so what's happening to us now and what happened to us 5 hours ago continues to happen. What happened 15 years ago continues to happen. And I guess that would mean what happens 10 years from now is also continuing to happen.
See, okay, that's interesting because I get the whole parallel universe thing, and
Sure.
that we might be sitting in a parallel universe, not making this podcast but doing something else or whatever. That like
Or
there's
making the podcast that helps you stay awake.
Yes, there you
Okay.
go. The opposite. And that, like, how they say that every choice you make opens up kind of like in another universe, the person has made a different choice. Like,
Right.
you have made a different choice, and there's
Sure.
all these, like, infinite realities that operate around us. But I've never heard about it all being sort of continuous.
Sort of linear, kind of.
Yeah. Now, if you had the opportunity to live on the moon or live on a planet, like
No.
no interest.
No interest. You know what? There's so
Assuming that you could.
much. No interest. There's too much to see on this planet
Okay.
And I love traveling, as you know, and I've only seen a fraction of what I want to see. So you keep Venus, you keep Mars, I'll stay on Earth and just explore here.
Fair enough.
You, on the other hand?
You know what? I would be way too scared of the rocket ship trip there.
Okay.
So, yeah, I can't get on a plane without getting a little bit nervous. So
Fair enough.
Rocket
Fair
ship's
enough.
not going to
What
work.
you need to do when you go on a plane is download some of our
I do.
episodes. Do you?
I do.
Have you done that on a plane?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, that's great. And has
I
it
have.
helped?
It has helped. I've told you before, like, Marco doesn't believe me, but I actually do fall asleep to this podcast, oddly enough, especially when I'm having, like,
a difficult
insomnia
time,
or
sure.
whatever. I'll actually listen to the podcast, and you're always amazed because you can't listen to the sound of your voice.
I can't listen to my voice because then my head judges what I sound like. Because I feel like I feel like I have a great voice, and then I hear my voice and I'm like, oh my God, this is my voice? Like, it's like, I think many people feel that way, but it's really difficult when you envision your voice one way and then you hear it back and it's not. It's
funny, it's sort of like, remember growing up, or not even growing up, but when you listen to radio DJs or hosts or whatever, and they have a sound and you think you know what they look like based on the sound of their voice, and then you see a picture and you're like, they're not at all what I thought they would look like. It's a little bit like that, but not at all.
Right.
In a weird way.
See, I feel like I sound like Wolfman Jack, but then when I see myself, I look more like Casey Kasem. I sound more like Casey Kasem. I'm just picking random DJs. Do you remember Wolfman Jack? You looked
I
at me.
don't, but Casey Kasem, I remember.
Wolfman Jack I was little, and they would always talk about this DJ, Wolfman Jack, who had a beard, and I don't know, I guess he would howl. I don't know, but he was one of those people that were like, one of those, I don't even want to say celebrities, but people that were in the ether that people would often refer to.
Wolfman Jack.
Wolfman Jack.
Well,
yeah.
Maybe one day you'll be able to record a podcast with him.
He's dead. But in a parallel universe.
In a parallel universe.
Maybe.
And on that note,
we hope that you had a chance to listen and sleep. And if you didn't and you listened to the end of this podcast, we thank you for staying with us as we talked a lot about what ifs, or where would you, or who would you, or what would you. What are those called?
What ifs? What if scenarios?
What ifs, yeah. Scenarios.
Yeah. As always, we are recording here in Toronto, Canada, and we are produced by Drumcast Productions. So to all of our listeners out there, thank you so much for listening. If you are still awake, why don't you go onto iTunes and rate us, give us a review if you'd like. Let us know, I don't know, let us know whatever your thoughts are, really. And don't forget to send Marco your stapler ideas or thoughts or recommendations on Twitter @ListenAndSleep, and we will see you the next time.